Imagine, the sun has just disappeared. There are no houses, no doors, no flashlights, no police, no hospitals, only darkness. Somewhere beyond the firelight, glowing eyes stare back at you. Tonight isn't about getting a good night's sleep. It's about surviving until sunrise. For nearly 300,000 years, night was humanity's greatest challenge. Humans can't see well in the dark. We can't run as fast as many predators. We don't have claws. We don't have thick fur. We don't have sharp teeth. As soon as the sun disappeared, the world belonged to animals that hunted at night. Lions, hyenas, leopards, wolves, giant owls. Every strange sound could mean death. Imagine sitting beside a small fire, knowing that just beyond its light, something might already be watching you. Your ears become your eyes. Every rustling leaf, every snapping branch, every distant growl could be the warning that decides whether you live or die. For our ancestors, darkness wasn't peaceful. It was a test of survival, and every single night, they had to pass that test again. As the sun slowly moved toward the horizon, everything became more urgent. Ancient humans didn't simply wait for darkness, they raced against it. The final hours of daylight were some of the busiest moments of the entire day. Every minute mattered. Firewood had to be gathered, not just enough for warmth, but enough to keep the flames burning until morning. Water had to be collected, food had to be prepared, freshly hunted animals had to be butchered, before the smell attracted dangerous predators, edible plants, fruits, roots, and nuts were gathered before darkness made searching impossible. Shelters were checked one last time, weak branches were reinforced, openings were covered, sleeping places were prepared, because once the sun disappeared, leaving the shelter could become a deadly risk. There were no second chances, no backup plan, no emergency rescue, only preparation or regret. For ancient humans, survival didn't begin after sunset. It began long before the first shadow touched the ground. The families who prepared well had the best chance of seeing another sunrise. The ones who didn't often paid the highest price. As darkness closed in, one thing mattered more than anything else: fire. It wasn't just a source of warmth, it was the thin line between safety and death. The glow of a campfire pushed many predators into the darkness. Its light allowed families to see one another, to prepare food, to repair tools, and to stay together when the world beyond the flames became invisible. But fire demanded constant attention. Someone always needed to feed it with dry wood. A weak fire could quickly become a dangerous one. If the flames died, the cold crept closer. The darkness grew deeper, and the sounds of predators seemed to come from every direction. Starting a new fire wasn't always easy. Sometimes it could take hours. Sometimes it wasn't possible at all. That is why ancient humans protected their fire so carefully. They carried burning embers from one campsite to another. They searched for dry wood before sunset, and they treated every glowing flame as if their lives depended on it. Because they did. For our ancestors, fire wasn't just an invention, it was their greatest weapon, their greatest comfort, and perhaps the reason they survived the longest nights on Earth. When we imagine ancient humans at night, we often picture them sleeping peacefully around a warm campfire. But reality was probably very different. Sleep was never completely safe. Every night, someone had to stay alert. Many researchers believe adults may have taken turns keeping watch. While some people slept, others listened, watched, and waited. Every crack of a branch could mean an approaching predator. Every distant growl demanded attention. Even the wind moving through the trees could make hearts race. Sleep was likely light and easily interrupted. There were no locked doors, no walls strong enough to keep danger away. Only a small circle of fire, surrounded by endless darkness. Parents stayed close to their children. Hunters kept their weapons within reach. Nobody could afford to ignore an unfamiliar sound. The difference between waking up and never waking again could be only a few seconds. For ancient humans, night wasn't a time to completely relax. It was a time to rest. without ever letting your guard down. When the world disappeared into darkness, your ears became your most important sense. You couldn't see what was hiding beyond the fire, but you could hear it. A distant howl, the eerie laugh of hyenas, the soft rustle of leaves, the snap of a single branch. Every sound carried a question. Was it the wind? Or was something moving closer? Without artificial light, even a few meters beyond the fire became almost impossible to see. The darkness hid everything: predators, strangers, and dangers you couldn't even imagine. Sometimes, the night was silent, so silent that it felt even more frightening, because silence often meant something was watching, something was waiting. Ancient humans learned to recognize every sound around them: the call of birds, the buzzing of insects, the movement of animals through the grass. One unfamiliar noise could change everything. A single mistake, a single moment of hesitation could cost an entire family their lives. For our ancestors, the night didn't just look dangerous, it sounded dangerous. And every sound demanded respect. For ancient families, night was especially dangerous for children. As darkness settled over the land, parents kept their children close. Babies were carried beside their mothers. Older children stayed within the circle of firelight, wandering into the darkness, even for a few moments, could be fatal. A child could become lost, fall into hidden danger, or attract the attention of a hungry predator. There were no maps, no flashlights, no one coming to search. That is why children learned an important lesson from an early age. Stay close, stay quiet, and always listen. They watched the adults gather firewood, prepare food, repair tools, and keep the fire alive. Without realizing it, they were learning the skills that would one day keep them alive. Every evening became a lesson. Every mistake became a warning. Every story carried wisdom passed down through generations. For ancient children, survival wasn't taught in a classroom. It was learned, one night at a time, and those lessons could mean the difference between life and death. When the day's work was finally over, people gathered around the fire, not just to stay warm, but to stay connected. Food was shared, tools were repaired, plans were made for tomorrow's hunt. And then, the stories began. Some were about successful hunts. Others warned of dangerous animals, hidden rivers, or places where people had disappeared. These weren't just stories. They were lessons. Every tale carried knowledge that could one day save a life. Children listened carefully. They learned which sounds meant danger, which plants were safe to eat, which paths to avoid. Long before they experienced those dangers themselves, many scientists believe these evenings around the fire helped strengthen language, memory, cooperation, and culture itself. Generation after generation, knowledge passed from one voice to the next, without books, without writing, without schools. The fire became more than protection from the darkness. It became the center of human life, a place where experience became wisdom, and wisdom became survival. Perhaps some of the very first stories ever told were spoken beneath a sky filled with stars, while a small fire burned, keeping the darkness just far enough away. The longest hours of the night were finally coming to an end. Slowly, the darkness began to lose its grip. A faint glow appeared on the horizon. The stars started to fade. The cold air softened. One by one, the sounds of the night disappeared. Birds began to sing. The predators slipped back into the shadows. And for the first time in hours, the world felt a little safer. Another night had been survived. For ancient humans, that was never something to take for granted. Every sunrise was a victory, a reminder that they had outlasted the darkness. One more time. Soon, the camp came back to life. The fire was fed once again. Tools were picked up. Children woke. Hunters prepared to leave. and the endless search for food, water, and survival began all over again. For almost all of human history, this was life, not for days, not for years, but for thousands of generations. Every sunset brought uncertainty. Every sunrise brought hope. And every new day was another chance to live. Tonight, before you switch off your bedroom light, take a moment to imagine a different world. A world with no walls, no electricity, no locks, no safe place to hide. Only a small fire, surrounded by endless darkness. For almost all of human history, night wasn't a time to relax. It was the most dangerous part of every single day. Every strange sound could mean danger. Every shadow could hide a predator. And every sunrise was a victory earned through survival. The fears our ancestors faced helped shape the instincts we still carry today. Perhaps that's why darkness still makes us uneasy, why unexpected sounds wake us in the middle of the night, and why a small light still brings comfort. The next time you look up at the night sky, remember the millions of people who came before us. They survived, one night at a time. And because they did, we're here today. If you enjoyed this journey into the ancient world, don't forget to like the video. Subscribe for more fascinating stories about human history. And I'll see you in the next one.